Hey,
There he is.
can you see me or am I off here?
I can see you. A little bright there.
Let me.
How are you, Dan?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for taking the time to be on with me today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
But man, I'm so excited to be chatting with you virtually here in Northeast PA. Welcome back to the area via Zoom. I appreciate the time, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And congrats to your Eagles.
Uh, yeah. How about that? They had to grease the light poles, and apparently they burned the city down when you win a championship.
Yeah, unreal,
It's
right? Come
crazy,
on
isn't it?
now. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like you tear apart a city if you win or if you lose. It's like, come on.
Well, in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, it's both.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
right. Are you a sports guy at all?
I am unfortunately a Chicago Bears fan, and we've
Okay.
been struggling for many, many years. So
Yeah.
um, my Super Bowl this year was watching your Eagles beat the Chiefs. So I'll take that.
I think that
Uh,
was I think Dan, that was legit everybody's Super Bowl because it
yeah.
seemed like everybody was like, "We're done with this Chiefs thing."
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not hating on them, but yeah, it's enough. We've already had a dynasty with the Patriots.
Yeah,
We don't need another team to take over the next 20 years. I'd rather see, a shootout like this.
yeah,
And
a
yeah,
fresh
it was
face for
great.
sure. I got to be honest with you, and we're getting a little off track. So we have so much that we have to talk about with Disturb, but just really quick, I know everybody's talked about the halftime show, and whether you liked it or you didn't, it doesn't matter to me. I think the coolest part of that show was the Buick Grand National that Kendrick Lamar was standing on,
Right. That's the
fastest
first thing I
production
said.
car of its era.
That's the first thing I said. I'm like, yeah, that's
See?
a Grand National up there. All right.
Well, Dan, we have so much to talk about because you just kicked off the 25th anniversary Sickness Tour in Nampa, Idaho, at the Fort Idaho Center on the 25th. Um, I have to imagine, and I'm just a little curious because I was thinking about our chat today. I'm like, I wonder if Dan Donegan forgot how to play some of the songs he wrote on that album because you're playing it in its entirety, right?
Right. Yeah. It's some of them we haven't played in many, many years. And I think even talking with John, our bass player, I think there might have been at least one or two that he's never played with us, and he's been with us for 21 years almost
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So crazy. It was nice to go back and revisit these songs and go through it and not only relearning some of them, but kind of bringing me back in the headspace of when we first originally wrote them.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I wonder what kind of feelings, memories does that because I have to imagine that it does evoke some of that stuff from that time in your life and in the band when you were, you're just getting started. It's a big album for you guys. And what were you thinking when you recorded it? I'm like, did a lot of that stuff come back? I mean, what's that experience like?
I mean, it was amazing. I think at the time when we first got David in the band, and this is 1996. I'm aging myself here with this, but we were just got in the room and we just started improvising and just trying to find our sound, and it was just all improvising and taking all of our different influences and just kind of bringing it to the table. And I just remember just kind of being in a rehearsal room and just not really, not trying to emulate somebody else, just trying to, just naturally let it happen. And it just was coming together quick for us. And it took a couple of years of just building up that local fan base around the Chicagoland area, and we were making some noise. We realized people were grabbing onto it and they were gravitating towards it. And even at that time, a lot of bars you have to play cover songs just for the bar owners to
To be
allow you in.
happy, right?
Yeah, right. They wanted to make sure that you're playing something familiar enough, and it didn't take that long to work until we realized that even the fans locally were getting so familiar with our own original material that we started tipping the scale a bit and doing less covers and more originals. And at that point, the bar owners didn't mind because we were bringing people through the door. So we
Right.
just we've seen the tides turn in a short period of time, realizing that the originals were connecting.
One of the things I always thought stood out about that album was, the guitar solo thing, and that it's really not something you did back then. Although, you have gradually worked that stuff back in. Was that a conscious thought to be different? Because, whether you're a guitar player or you're not, I can't tell sometimes whether people really pay attention to that stuff. And we know you're a phenomenal guitar player and you can shred with the best of them, but you held back in those days.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a conscious effort. It was before David got in the band. We had I was doing more solos, and in the previous lineups that we had. I think and when we got David, it was just more or less trying to find our way and our sound. And I just maybe got more into riffing and going into bridges that had riffs or breakdowns, and maybe, more train of thought was like Soundgarden-esque type of
Hmm.
thing, or Alice in Chains, even though they had some solos too. Obviously, Jerry Cantrell's one of my favorite guitar players, but
Yeah.
like Soundgarden, like, Rusty Cage, and like Jesus Christ Pose, and stuff that
Yeah.
just cool breakdowns and cool riffs. And I don't know, I guess I was just so focused on trying to find our sound, sonically, and David trying to find his voice. And he had this great sense of rhythm and melody. And then so when we did songs like, even off the Sickness, the Game, where I went into a bridge riff and David just kind of scatted over it with no real lyric. It was just a scat part and just animalistic approach to it. It just kind of stuck. So we were just kind of really experimenting, finding our sound. And then over the next few albums, I was bringing a little bit more of the guitar soloing back into it.
And it's funny because I've always thought that your playing on every record that you've done, Dan, is very syncopated. It's very staccato. It's almost like your riffs are a guitar solo in and of themselves. You know what I mean? So that maybe at some point you didn't, on that first record and moving forward, you didn't have to because they were already there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. I
It's
appreciate that.
interesting. Your playing has always been interesting to me.
Well, a lot of times, like when I would write what would maybe be a backing to a potential guitar solo, I would get so excited about the rhythm riff that I have in that bridge part that I wanted to play it. So
Yeah.
we would just kind of just keep it as a bridge,
Yeah.
or and either have David scat over it or sing over it. And I guess that was where my head was at that moment too.
Now, yesterday you dropped a new single from the band. It's "I Will Not Break," and to me, Dan, the song sounds like you are in that Sickness headspace, almost like you could have dropped the song on that album. Is that a product of having gone through and rehearsed for this tour, and like I want to get into that headspace and have kind of that vibe going again for a new song?
Yeah, it definitely has something to do with it. I actually dug up some old demo cassette tapes that we would set up in our rehearsal room, and
Did you have something to play them on?
I actually had to go on eBay and find a cassette player and order something, but I swear to God, and
I believe it.
yeah, so I got a cassette player because I wanted to hear what was on these demos, and all we would do back then is just put the cassette player in the back of the room and hit record, and it was
Yeah.
really lousy quality thing, but enough to hear some of the riffs and rhythms. And I did kind of go back and revisit some of those, and some of them I remembered. I just remembered going back to some of those riffs, and it did get me a lot into that headspace. And so with "I Will Not Break," that did come in the tail end of the recording process when we were in the studio working on material, and I was kind of trying to finalize some other song ideas that I had already we had already recorded. But in that moment, I just felt like putting that on the back burner and just starting fresh with, because my headspace was there, and I'm like, and said to my producer, let's just work on something new tonight. And open up a bottle of wine, picked up the guitar, and
Yeah.
just started riffing out. And in that riff kind of, once it came, me and Mike, our drummer, and our producer, three of us were in the room, and it just hit us all. We kind of looked at each other like, that's the riff. That's what we're going with there. And I just kind of assembled a rough idea of a structure for it, because David wasn't there at the moment, so when he came in, we played the idea for him, and he definitely gravitated towards it as well.
Now you're going to be bringing this tour to the Philadelphia area, which is about 2 hours south of us, Wells Fargo Center. It's going to happen April 5th. On that bill, you've got Daughtry and Nothing More as your support for us. So I'm really excited for that. You're going to be doing, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the entire Sickness album first, and then like maybe a little intermission, and then some other hits and stuff you just want to play, correct?
Yeah, so that's the plan as of now. I mean, we're definitely doing the Sickness album front to back, and
Right.
then the greatest hits thing, we have in mind what we're going to do. There may be a song or two that we might swap out every now and then, depending on how we feel about it, if we want to change something out.
Is that hard to do? Because I remember talking to the guys in Nothing More about that. swapping out songs when you're on tour because you have production that is so choreographed to what you do. It's not like you can randomly say, hey, I'm going to switch these next 3 songs up because we feel like doing something different tonight. It's not really how it works, is it?
Well, I mean, we could do it. I know I hate to use the word choreograph, but you're kind of right. You are right with it.
Well, choreographed only because it's, the lights are set to a certain pattern and to do
Right.
hit certain spots where you guys happen to be. Not that,
Yeah.
the show is predetermined or anything.
Right. Right. You're exactly right. I mean, that's a big reason why we kind of stick to somewhat of the script is because, yeah, there's program lights, there's pyro, there's certain looks. The pyro too, just when you're out there, for a couple months and everybody gets on autopilot with our crew and that for safety reasons, we don't want to like throw them a curveball and forget, oh, there's pyro in this song and
Yeah,
somebody's like
that'd be bad.
in the danger zone, so but we do have a couple audible songs that we usually pick that are strong contenders that we might swap out and we'll create certain looks for them, mainly for those aspects of it, of lighting and pyro and just our crew just having it on autopilot in their heads too, so everyone's safe with it.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the April show that we're going to get at Wells Fargo, you have Daughtry and Nothing More. I'm just curious, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is there any possibility that David will jump on stage with Nothing More and do their track they did together, Angel Song? Has that been talked about? Something you might do?
I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't talked about it. Maybe he talked about it. It's a great song. I mean, love the
It
song.
is.
And I heard it early on too because they did that song with our producer Drew Falk as well. So I got an early listen to it as well. So and I love that band. They're awesome. So I'm not really sure what the intentions are with that live. If he's going to jump up, I mean, I'm assuming maybe at some point he will. I don't know. We just haven't. We've been so deep in our own rehearsals and
I bet.
production and everything that we haven't had those discussions.
And you actually have 2 different sets of openers depending on where you happen to see the tour. Because, like I said, on the opening night the other day in Nampa, you had 3 Days Grace and Seven Dust out on the road with you too.
Yeah, great. I mean, just such a great lineup. But both tours split in half. Some of our favorite bands, so
Yeah.
we're so excited about it because God, they all throw down and they just really make bands like us always have to show up and play our A game because
Yeah.
a lot of energy with those bands. I'm sure you've probably seen all of them, I would assume.
I
So
have actually seen all of them. I'm lucky. That's the great part of being in radio. I get to see all my favorite bands
yeah,
and I get to talk
they're
to my
great.
favorite
So
guitar players.
yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I just seen Daughtry not too long ago passing through Chicago, and caught his show. We've been diehard Seven Dust fans from the very beginning. And a funny story, I was actually even before we had a record deal, Seven Dust was coming through Chicago playing at the Metro, was a very historic venue here. And me and David were in the crowd when they were filming like their home video
Mhm.
and stuff. So me and David were fanboys of Seven Dust from the very beginning. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. And obviously we've been out with 3 Days Grace before. I think it was right before COVID hit. We did a big tour together and love those guys. And we've done quite a bit with Nothing More as well. So this is going to be exciting.
The last time I talked with you, I nerded out a little bit about your guitar collection and we talked about the censorship guitar. So I feel like it's a great question to ask now that you're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Sickness album. Will you have any custom Sickness guitars that you'll bring out on stage? Are you working on any? Do you have some already?
Yeah, I do. I do have one already in my hands. I'm hoping that there's going to be there's a couple more in the works. They're in the custom shop right now. That I'm being told is maybe like a week or two out potentially. So
That's
yeah,
really cool.
it's pretty exciting. I love, I've been playing Schecter guitars for a while now, and
Yeah.
they've been great to me. And their custom guy I've known for a long time. He's doing a great job with this. So yeah, there should be a couple that make an appearance.
Now, will those be only available to you, or is there any intention to make those available to guitar players via Schecter's website? Like, I know you have a signature model with them, but I think it's just the one finish. Like, will any of these 25th anniversaries be available?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. We didn't discuss if you're gonna mass produce it and make it available for the fans out there or not. But I would imagine we could probably get them do I don't know if they're gonna do a couple tiers of it, if it's gonna be exactly the same setup as
Sure,
mine,
sure.
or even a more beginner model or not. But Yeah. It's something that's we need to discuss about it, but it's something I would like for them to do because I mean it is a 25th
I
anniversary.
mean,
It'd be cool to have
it's a
something about
big deal for that album. Yeah. So it'd be kind of cool if they were out there. We'll have to earmark one for me when we get that,
it.
if we
Right.
get that far. One of the things I've always liked about following you on social media, specifically Instagram, Dan, is that I have caught that your dad, obviously, you have two kids, your son Jay Money and your daughter. And I'm sorry, I can't remember your daughter's name off the top of my
Maya.
head, but our daughters are the same age. So
Okay.
it's I feel that it's super relatable for fans to see that side of you also. And I
Mhm.
wonder, do your kids realize how big of a rock star? I know you don't think that, but how big of a rock star you are to your fans? Do they get that?
They get it when I could pull favors to get him into concerts that they want to go to. And when my daughter's like, hey, Drake or, Kanye West or I don't know, over the years, there's been so many concerts I've gotten her
She's not
into.
a rock girl, I take it, huh?
But she is.
She is.
I'm not just saying that, but it's like the favors that are like really hard ones for me to have to pull off because I gotta, pull in the big phone calls
Yeah,
for those tougher ones like that.
sure.
But yeah, they grew up pretty much on the road with me. And I know a lot of people don't like to. Sometimes people choose to keep their family life pretty private, and I've been pretty open about mine. And my kids have been on the road with me since the beginning of my career. Basically, I was very fortunate, that well, my ex-wife, what I'm still very close with and great friends with, came out on the road those days with me and brought the kids
Hmm.
and we just had to find that balance between family and career, and we just managed to get our way through it. And the kids grew up with around Slipknot and Korn and Marilyn Manson and
It's
Avenged
very cool.
and all these bands we toured with. The kids were always backstage and catering and roaming
Sure.
around or side stage watching it. And I think my daughter's first crush was Corey Taylor, because she would see up there and when he was with Stone Sour doing,
Yeah,
through glass and stuff like that, and or bother when he would do, and my daughter would be side stage and she was just taken by that. But yeah, it's been great. They love it. She was pretty quiet about it. Like she didn't really talk about it much in school growing up. She didn't want to. Yeah, it was just different because
sure.
not many people can say their dad's a musician and a
Right.
famous, but she was pretty quiet about it in private. But now I go to her college and University of Kentucky, and we played down there last year at the arena, and now I see her with her friends in the crowd watching the show from so it hits me it hits me in the heart when I look
Yeah.
out at the crowd and I see my daughter having fun with her friends watching me and making her proud.
That is super, super cool. And by the way, your son is a stupidly good basketball player from the videos I've seen. I know my
Thank
son likes to play basketball and baseball too. So I'm watching that going, yeah, he's really awesome.
Yeah, he's good.
Good
He's a good
three-point
little.
shooter.
Yeah, he's getting that shot dialed in. He's been doing really good with it. I wish he's kind of coming to an end. He's a senior in high school now. He's not gonna, most likely isn't going to pursue athletics anymore, which is a bummer for me because I was an athletic kid and I
Yeah,
was living vicariously through him again. And I coached football when he was playing football back in the day. I did many years. I was
that's
helping out
cool.
team. We won a couple of our own Super Bowls, so that was pretty exciting for me. I love being a dad as much, even more than I love being a musician. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate all the time today to talk about the anniversary tour. I'm super excited to see you guys at Wells Fargo in Philadelphia. We just sent some winners out to see you in Las Vegas for the final night of the tour. It's a really big deal that we're getting to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the sickness. So I greatly appreciate all your time today, getting a chance to chat with you again, Dan. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
We'll see you on the road, man.
All right, take care.
Take
Be
care. Have a
well.
great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.